another day, another VEDA vlog. Now, I will say this VEDA vlog took a little longer to make because over the course of a few days, I was asking people to give me questions. And since I don't really have a big audience anymore, sometimes getting questions can be hard. But luckily, the old tried and true people that have stuck around asked me some questions, and we're going to answer them in a Q&A today. So that's what we're going to do. So this video will actually have a little bit more editing. It's another reason why it's coming out a little later, is because, yeah, I got to edit it. The first question we got is, have you ever thought about quitting YouTube entirely and becoming a professional comic book writer for DC Comics? There was a few spelling errors in there, but I corrected it for you, King. That's the writer in me. But no, I'm actually terrible. Autocorrect is a lifesaver. But anyways, have I ever thought about it? Yeah, that would be amazing. Unfortunately, you can't just become a comic book writer for DC. You usually have to show that you can write and then, or be a popular celebrity, because DC does that a lot as well. CM Punk. But yeah, for the most, well, actually, he did Marvel. Same thing. They both do it. But, yeah, I wish DC would just be like, hey, man, we want to offer you a freaking story to write. Because I would be down to just do, like, a Batman one-shot to show that I can actually write Batman to see if people like it, you know what I mean? Still hoping to get on Batman 1000 somehow. I know that's still going to be very far away. But yeah, but for the first part, have you ever thought about quitting YouTube entirely? If you didn't see my mental breakdown, super stressed out video that I posted back in November, December time, yeah, I was thinking about quitting YouTube entirely then. I mean, at the height of my breakdown, when I just felt like my head was going to explode, I thought about quitting everything. I was going to quit my job. I was going to quit YouTube. I was going to quit trying to do social media and everything. I was going to quit everything and just focus on writing. I think that's how I realized coming into 2025 that I want to focus on writing, because being at what I felt was one of my lowest lows and still having a passion for writing just showed me, and just shows, I think, anybody, that is something you really care about, right? I think people have that in all different shapes and sizes. Some people, at their worst of the worst, get through things because they're like, I have my wife and I love my wife and I need to do this for her, or my children, or whatever, my family, whatever it might be. I think when you are at your lowest low and you see what you still care about, I think that matters. Now, I do want to say that I do think people are going to go to their lowest lows and they're not going to see something like that. That doesn't mean anything, okay? That doesn't mean I don't have something in my life, so, I need to do something crazy. That doesn't mean anything. I'm just saying there are times in those moments. Some people realize what they want to do in life on a normal, happy day. I mean, well, there's a question here later that I'll kind of reference. But, yeah, you just never know when you're going to get those kind of things. So writing has always been something I am passionate about, and I thought about quitting YouTube to, become a full-time writer. And if that would lead to becoming a professional comic book, writer, that'd be awesome. And obviously, I would love to work for DC. That is still a goal of mine. I still want to write Batman one day. But I feel like I need to write a bunch of other stuff first. I think I don't know if I ever talked about this on the podcast before, but, I think I need to, create a series that is amazing somehow before I even get to DC. That way, when I get to DC, I have all the power, and I could be like, I want to do whatever I want. I want to be able to write my Batman story. I don't want somebody's freaking grubby fingers in my story. So I think that's something I need to do first before DC even looks my way. But yeah, would totally do that. Next question is from Moncray. Why do you want to frick the niche? Why is it so negative? So for those of you that don't know, I sell a shirt, which I haven't worn yet. Actually, I have a brand new shirt that says frick the niche on it, or, fuck the niche, which is a saying that I had on this channel when we started it. Because originally this channel was no niche, do whatever I want. It's still kind of like that, especially with VEDA. I've been talking about whatever I want. There is no structure here. It's one of the reasons why some of the videos are doing better than others, because some things I'm just rambling. I mean, it's part of VEDA. But yeah, Frick the Niche was just always about not caring and not trying to fit into YouTube's stupid little bubble that they want us to fit into. And yeah, it was something that I wanted to, I needed something visceral to really give me motivation to keep trying this, because I know for a fact that I was going to become someone that'd be like, I got to do it this way, I got to do it that way. And so I was like, no, dude, your motto is fuck the niche. Just do what you want. And I did it for a year. And as you saw in the second video in this VEDA vlog series, it failed. So, you know, maybe that's a good way to say that, like, hey, maybe you shouldn't be negative because, you know, sometimes even though negativity can motivate you to do a lot of things, it might just be a failure all around in the end, and you might waste a year of your life. So, yeah, that's why it was negative, but, you know, it is what it is. The next question we got is from Nathan, who says, have you ever thought you're trying too hard? Like, focus on your low-effort editing, but opinionated commentary. Then branch out from there. I think Gen Z is always going to be the target audience YT pushes to. And there is a comment from Eduardo de la Cruz, who says, bruh, I want to see the OG Juice not give a heck attitude. It's perfect for Gen Z. For those of you that don't know anything about my old channel, I used to be a lot more loosey-goosey with what I would say and make more off-color jokes and stuff like that. And yeah, that was a very different time. Didn't really care about a lot of stuff. I do feel like I'm kind of trying to get back to that because, you know, we currently live in a world that, like, you know, the people that run it are just shitty, terrible people, and people are voting for that. So it's like, dude, why even worry? I mean, if you guys saw the cancel culture video, I really don't. I spent too much time caring about cancel culture and like worrying about getting canceled. I don't give a shit. And then I got canceled, and I don't really care about it anymore. So maybe I'm getting a little bit more loosey-goosey out there, especially with my writing. I don't worry about how it's perceived, to be honest. I know I'm going to piss people off with some of my writing. I just care about the story being good. But as for the actual question, have you ever thought that I'm trying too hard? Yeah, 100%. I will say I've definitely thought I was trying too hard at times. As for the, like, focus on low-effort editing and opinionated commentary, and then branch out from there. I will say it's a lot easier said than done, right? Because right now, you can look at VEDA, Nathan, and be like, oh yeah, this is super low effort. I mean, the editing is me literally cutting the start and cutting the end in case I don't like the intro. And that's it. I mean, some of the videos have had editing because, you know, I had to burp or I got a phone call or something like that. And, yeah, it's as low effort as you can get, just turning on a camera and hitting the record button. And then obviously just kind of talking about different things. But the problem is I'm kind of like, you know, I think it's probably out by now because I filmed this the other day. Sorry, my brain paused because I was like, is that video out yet? Because, you know, I'm filming this video in advance because it's going to take a little longer to edit. Yeah, I made a video about opinions and, like, how just, like, you don't need to have one. I'm starting to think, like, not so much about opinionated content. Now, granted, you can have an opinion on everything, but I was, like, kind of getting away from the, like, drama and all that kind of stuff. And I just don't know what I would do, like, going forward. Because, like, everybody has an opinion on everything nowadays. So, like, you have to constantly branch out and offer something different. And sometimes, you know, having opinionated content with the editing is what makes it go well. And I just don't know if I can compete with, like, the slop channels out there. And it's really hard to beat slop channels because it seems like slop channels don't have lives. Like, genuinely. I'm sorry for any of the creators that run slop channels, but you guys are sometimes dropping, like, 2 to 3 videos a day. And it's like, bro, I know you're not going outside. Like, so what, you got to just be at home constantly searching Twitter, Reddit, wherever you can get your news for the slop. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know. So it's very hard to do that. I do think I have tried too hard. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to do VEDA personally, is because I was like, let me just see if doing random commentary videos like this would be a better benefit and if people would care about that. But it's just hard to find that audience, man. I don't know how to do it. I don't know what I'm missing. I wish some YouTube guru that was actually legit, because I get a bunch of them sliding into my DMs all the time, would come by and be like, look, man, this is what you're doing wrong. Like, your content's fine or whatever, but this is what you're doing wrong. You can do this better, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like, I mean, for VEDA, I wasn't even going to do thumbnails, but after, like, the first 2 or 3 videos, I was like, I want thumbnails. Because I hate the way, like, you know, I wish I could be, like, Moist Critical and, like, the thumbnail wouldn't matter, but I'm not. Like, Critical is just, he's an anomaly, he's different, it's crazy. But I also like my page to look somewhat nice and presentable, so that's kind of why I make thumbnails. But, yeah, for the most part, man, yeah, I do agree. I was trying too hard. But the thing right now is I just don't know what works on YouTube, man. I don't know, like, here's the thing. I think a lot of people, uh, maybe probably like, you should go back to your wacky and zaniness. And I'm like, bro, I'm closer to 40 than I am 30. I've said that many a times. And I'm not like the Speeds and the Kais of the world. I wish I was doing the gaming stuff back when I was doing the wacky, zany commentary for like comic book stuff, because maybe things would have been different. Maybe things would have been different. And I think I still have that energy in me, but to do it at the rate I was doing it before, I don't think I could do that. Not unless like somebody was editing my videos for me. I just don't have the energy. So hopefully that answers that. The next question is from Eduardo de la Cruz. Got in here in this video twice. If you had no toilet paper for the rest of your life, would you rather only use tissue, paper towel, or napkins? No bidet, you cheater. I recently found the way of the bidet, and it is the way to go. Let's see. Tissue, paper towel, or napkins. So, okay, so we're talking about like tissue that you blow your nose with, just to clarify, because there's also like, tissue paper for wrapping and stuff like that. So I'm assuming we're going with like Kleenex, that's kind of what we're going with tissues. We're going with paper towel, which I think is a little bit more rough. Like we're talking about Bounty, or napkins, which I think is, when I think of a napkin, I think of what you get in like a fast food, when you buy fast food and they give you some napkins in there. That's what I think of. Oof. So I'm gonna be fair to the comment, because here's the thing. Look, man, I like to be clean, all right? And if I feel like I had a super duper pooper, I will wet a napkin and make sure I'm clean, all right? That's an advice to some people out there. If you ain't got the bidet and you feel like you need to get a little bit more clean, wet a fucking napkin and then take care of your business, man. Make sure you're clean. So yeah, that's what I would do to make sure I was good. So I wouldn't go napkins, because napkins would end up being, they would just fall apart. Now, if okay, first of all, if we have to do it with, you can't wet the paper towel, because I feel like that's what somebody's gonna say. Like, no, you don't got water. I'm just like, I would do tissue would tear apart. I feel like so bad, and I feel like there would be so much left over. So it would be between napkins and paper towel. Here's the thing, it depends on how much you got. Do you have infinite? Like, do I have, like, a roll of napkins? Because then maybe you go napkins, because I think napkins are a little softer, you know what I mean? Because paper towel, like, you're going to feel that. You're going to feel that. I'll say this. I'll go napkins. If I can wet the paper, I would go paper towel. Because then you just kind of, like, paper towel soaks it up, and you got a nice little, fucking, like, washcloth at that point. What do they call them? Like, the things you can rip open and kind of, like, use. One of those. So, yeah, that's my answer. Next question comes from Ethan, who says, I know this may seem random, I have a knack for that, but I watched a video on lust and hookup culture. So my question is, what is your thoughts on it? My thoughts on lust and hookup culture. Okay, well, I mean, lust, I think it's a cool thing to have. I think it's nice to have somebody, to lust over somebody, and to have somebody lust over you. It's a nice feeling when somebody is interested in you. I do think lust can also lead to a lot of hurt feelings. Same thing with hookup culture, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, I don't see any problem with lust. I think it's just like it's a nice human, emotion at times. Is it an emotion? Whatever. Whatever proper word goes there. I have no issue with that. But hookup culture is very different. So I have talked about this previously. I talked about this in the loneliness video that I made. Was it the loneliness video? No, it was the regrets video. I've done so many videos lately. In one of the videos previously, go watch both of those. And, in that, I kind of talked about, like, I've had options to be a part of hookup culture, but my views were very different on it at the time. And now as I'm older, I'm like, oh man, I should have probably taken up on it and stuff like that. But I'm also, I mentioned it in the video, the term is I want to be a safe slut, you know what I mean? And I'm learning that there are a lot of people out there that, I can only speak for females, because I'm not asking men, I'm not into men. So it's just like, I can only speak of, there's a lot of women out there that when you ask them to do that, they get a little maybe defensive, or they don't want to fuck with you, or fuck you, period. Because I actually did have this happen. before. I was, somebody who I've been off and on with was trying to talk to them, and I was like, "Yo," I was like, "You want to do this?" I was like, "But we haven't been together in a while. Would you get tested?" They said yes. Then I got ghosted, and then I was just like, "Okay." And again, I'll always off and on with this person, so reach out to them again later on, and I'm like, "Hey, like, what you been up to?" Blah blah blah. Ask the same kind of question. They say yes again, that they're down. I ask once again, "You down to get tested?" Ghosted. And I'm just like, okay. So it's just like, that's the one downside to hookup culture. I'm okay with it, but I find it weird that a lot of people don't want to be safe about it, because it only takes one time to ruin your life. Now, I know some people are going to be like, you're providing a stigmatism or whatever. So maybe I won't say ruin their life, but I will say change your life, because in reality, you can get like an STI, STD, all that kind of jazz, and some of them stick with you forever. They might come and go, but they are in your body system forever. And then obviously, you could get some diseases and stuff like that that are more life threatening, especially if you don't take care of them. With how medical systems are today, it's like you're risking a lot of stuff. You better have insurance if you are going to live that life. And it's also like, hookup culture, I think a lot of people, and we're gonna see about this, because I think, I'm hoping the cycle that we're currently on is not gonna continue being what is happening right now, because right now we're on a cycle of like nearing a depression. And it's only happened the last other 100 years. Every 100 years we have a depression. We also have a plague, which we kind of just went through that. And what happens usually around a depression is a world war. And I'm hoping we don't do that, and I'm really hope that's not the case. And I don't know. Part of me thinks if there was randomly a world war, it would change everybody's perspective on things. I don't know if that's going to lead to a baby boom, or if that is going to actually make people reconsider things that they did in their life, because like we just lived through a crazy, insane event, and life is precious, whatever. Maybe people will care more, or maybe people won't give a shit. I don't really know. I don't know history, so I don't know if that's. I mean, things were a lot different 100 years ago, so I don't know if hookup culture will just constantly go, or if there's going to be a scare like there was. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think HIV or AIDS popped up in like the 60s or 70s, when like hookup culture was free love, man. I think it was something along those lines. And I think that's when people really were like, whoa, let's pump the brakes on this. So I don't know if something else will pop up that'll get people to like, yo, whoa, what's going on? I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think that's the one side that I think doesn't get talked about enough. I'm cool with people living their life, and if you want to hook up with a bunch of people, that's great. I'd be down with the same thing. I just want to do it in a safe way. So I do think there is some aspects of hookup culture that need to be talked about more, and I wish people would just be safe about it. But it's just really weird. People are like, this and that. I don't know. I still don't take risks, even at my age. Gotta wrap that baby up, man. I'm not trying to have no kids that I don't want to be planned. You know what I mean? So is what it is. But yeah, hookup culture, I do think I think we're gonna see the effects of it in the coming decades or something like that, because I do really think that culture, although a lot of people love it or are into it, I do think it is definitely taking an effect on people's relationships, like finding real connections, because everybody's just like, man, like a lot of people think like sex is just sex now. That's what it is, which it's fair. It's okay to think that. But I think a lot of people used to think that it was a connection between two people that was meaningful. And I think the meaningful part of it is gone. And I don't know. I can speak only for myself, but like when you have a connection with somebody and you're hooking up, like it is 10 times better than just a random one night stand, like 100%. And I think a lot of people are losing that. And so, yeah, I don't know. That's my thoughts. The next comment we have is from Arwitz, who says, I hope you're doing well, Juice. With Batman continuing to get delayed, what do you think is best for Warner Bros. And DC Studios moving forward? Clearly, Gunn is wanting to get his universe going, and I'm assuming they want to get their own Batman story going. I hope that they can get their Batman out sooner rather than later. So the Batman, he's talking about The Batman, the movie, which is the Robert Pattinson movie here. And yeah, it's constantly getting delayed. Robert Pattinson is saying that, he's going to be an old man by the time the series finishes because he was young when it started, which is fair. I have said this. If you used to listen to the Batman News Weekly podcast, I would have killed the franchise. I would have killed the Batman franchise. I don't care that it made did it make $1 billion? Or close to it or whatever. Did it make $1 billion? I don't even remember. But yeah, I wouldn't care. I would kill it. Like, I'm starting a new DC universe. I don't care that it's going to be Elseworlds. People are still going to be confused. I would just get my Batman going. You already got your Superman and a whole bunch of other people. I would just do that. I would start my Batman and only have people care about one Batman. So you're not having them fight between each one. Like, oh, this Batman's better because whatever. I also am tired of realistic Batman, man. I want to see him fight alligators and shit. You know what I mean? Like the comic books. I want to see badass comic book Batman, and you're not getting that with Pattinson stuff. It's realistic. It's got to be this. Blah, blah, blah. I don't care. We've seen it before. Nolan gave it to us. But the best thing for Warner Brothers, I mean, as I just said, kill it. Just kill the project. And I know Penguin was a really good show, but right now they don't have a season 2 for Penguin, and they're kind of just like apparently Penguin goes right into Batman 2. Apparently, or that's at least what I heard. I heard something like that. So then leave it like that. That's cool. End it. Like, just end it there. And, I do think that, I mean, they're obviously going to make part 2, but I would have ended the series, personally. Because I think, didn't it win? Penguin won a bunch of awards. People liked Batman. Leave it like that. Go out. You got 2 for 2, man, if people really liked it. I didn't like the Batman. But, it is what it is. I would kill it, but you got Zaslav there, man. I don't think WB is getting any better until Zaslav is gone. He just gave himself a raise, and now he makes like $55 million a year now or something like that. I don't know how replacing CEOs goes, but people that have WB stock need to be able to vote on kicking out that CEO because he's terrible for the business, in my opinion. But it's all reality shows and shit. Like, why would you get a reality show guy to run a movie studio? Like, reality TV is garbage. Like, so, I don't know. But yeah, I would cancel the Batman and just focus on the DCU Batman because that's all that really matters. Next question comes from Mel, who says, thoughts on the MCU? I think you jumped off early, but Thunderbolts seems like a movie you might enjoy. It's funny, I don't know who it was. Was it Jan? Somebody in my Discord was saying that I was an MCU hater. Because, like, I don't know. No, they thought I was an MCU hater, but they're like, you're still going to watch every movie. And I was like, bro, I have seen maybe 2. I think I've seen 2 MCU movies since Endgame. I told myself, once Endgame was done, I was taking a break from Marvel until the X-Men show up. When did Endgame come out? Before COVID, I think? Was that right? Around COVID? I don't remember when freaking Endgame came out, but I haven't watched anything. I haven't watched any of the shows on Disney Plus, and I think the only 2 movies I've watched post Endgame are I think Spider-Man 2 came out after, right? So Spider-Man 2, and that's because my friend was like, hey, you want to go watch Spider-Man? And I was like, I was in California at the time, and I was like, yeah, all right, whatever, you want to do that. And I went to go watch it. Didn't even watch half of it because I had the shits. And so, like, I was just going to the bathroom. So I was just like, meh, I missed, like, half of the movie. So I kind of watched it. And then I ended up watching Guardians of the Galaxy 3 just because I was like, oh, James Gunn, I'm going to go watch that. And then most recently was Deadpool 3 because of Wolverine. Like, it was the most X-Men that I was going to get in the MCU. So I went and did that. Those are the only things I've watched. I haven't watched anything else. So yeah, I did technically jump off a long time ago, but then I was responding to the comment in the Discord when I got that. I got a little triggered there. But to answer Mel's question, Thunderbolts seems interesting. It looks like something I would watch. But I just don't like right now. I'm just like still do not care about superhero movies. I am hoping that when I go in July, I think when it comes out, when I go sit down in July to watch Superman, I am hoping I leave that theater in love with comic book movies again. Like, I'm hoping I don't leave and I'm just like, that was a good movie. Like, I'm hoping I enjoy it. Like, I get goosebumps and I'm like, that was awesome. Like, I want that feeling again. Even though, like, the feeling of seeing BVS for the first time, right? I have, like, my rating on BVS has went down over time. Thank you, Snyder fans. But I was, like, riding a high when I saw that film because it gave me the first, like, the warehouse scene was the Batman I've always wanted, and I finally got it, minus the killing. But, like, that badass action from Batman was what I always wanted. And so, like, I love that. I want that excitement again. And I'm not getting that from Snyder. I've seen other Snyder films post BVS, and they do not give me that excitement at all. Yeah, so, like, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I'm just not, I just don't care for superhero movies right now. Like, I'm not watching Invincible. I haven't watched the last season of The Boys. I am, like, haven't seen superheroes. I'm just kind of, like, checked out on, which kind of sucks. And maybe that's why I'm, like, spending so much time, like, reading manga and stuff, because it's just so wacky and silly. And there's so much of it. Unlike just being Marvel DC and, like, you have the freaking fandom warfare, when it comes to manga, like, you just have fandoms of each manga. That's like having just Superman fans, just Batman fans, just Wonder Woman fans, and they're all arguing who's better. Like, I don't know. It's just, it's so much easier not to care because they're all DC. Like, who fucking cares? You know what I mean? It's all manga. Just enjoy it. And so that's kind of my vibe right now when it comes to superhero movies. But let me know if the Thunderbolts movie is good, because maybe I'll check it out when it's on streaming. I'm not going to go to the theater. Next up, we got Charlie in Discord that says, they're saying in the comments that the juice has spoiled. How will you respond? Like, what do you think have been some of the best Juice from the Box moments, and do you think the best is yet to come? To answer the last part, I hope the best is yet to come. Like, if I'm being real, I don't know if YouTube and streaming and all that jazz is in the cards for me, ladies and gentlemen. I think if it is, like, let's say, because I am cooking up something for social media, but I don't know if it's going to be on YouTube. But I think I got 2 more ideas I'm going to try in social media. And if they both flop, I don't know what I'm doing after that. I don't really know. I do think I will try streaming one more time outside of these 2 ideas that I have. But if both of these ideas flop, I think I'm just GG, man. I don't know what else to do. Because, like, I think at that point I just need to be like, you know what? I'm just gonna be a streamer, and I'm just gonna play games and just, like, enjoy it. And if people show up, they show up. If not, and then I'll just, like, upload the VODs on one of the channels and maybe make a sporadic YouTube channel here or video here and there. I don't know. I don't really know what it'll be. I think at that point I'll just make YouTube content for content. I wouldn't be trying to be like, yeah, I need to do this. So I'm really hoping the time, you know, the best times haven't passed yet. Because I think at this point, like, I don't know if the YouTube stuff's gonna work, but I'm really hoping that the mangas and, like, comics and, like, stuff I write is what's gonna be that works. You know what I mean? And I don't know. What sucks is because I think the best launching pad would be to have an audience, which was always the game plan, was to have some kind of audience, create other things, and use that audience to boost that other stuff to make it even bigger, right? I think that's kind of the method a lot of people do. And, yeah, I don't know. So I'm hoping the best is yet to come. As for the last part of that question, or the other part of that question, some of the best Juice moments, I do think, look, man, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I kind of liked some of the comments some of the videos where I was kind of, like, pushing back against comments, because at that point I just didn't care. Like, you know, after people gave me shit for saying I should cancel Gotham, that video after that where I'm just, like, going in on stuff, some of those videos were just fun to do because it was like stress relief, because I know so many people were just talking shit, and I'm like, dude, I've been providing really good points and y'all just are not paying attention. It's like, because they just didn't want the show to get canceled, or they thought I was a hater or whatever, and it's just like, all right, screw it. Those are some of my favorite moments, although that was to a detriment because you're losing your audience that way. Because, like, one thing you'll only ever learn if you are a creator is audiences can be very fickle, and if you hurt their feelings, they will easily drop you as a creator. And I took that risk. For the longest time, I was like, I'm going to be me, and I don't care if I hurt your feelings. And I've kind of like changed back and forth on that. I try to be a little bit more soft with some of the things I say, but sometimes I'm like, nah, I believe this hardcore and people need to hear it this way. So it just all depends on the situation. But I think some of the best moments were probably streaming. Like I just have to like, you can go look at, it's very hard for me to pick a moment. If I am saying my favorite moment of all time, it's my 2014 vlog where I road tripped from VidCon to Vegas, to my friend's house in San Diego. And like, we just like, I lived the movie life, it felt like. I had a bonfire on the beach with like some cool friends. I climbed a mountain with them. I went in a freaking helicopter over Vegas. Like, it was crazy. We did a road trip through the desert and saw like random stuff. It was an insane time. And that is my best moment. But I think everybody has a favorite Juice moment. And like sometimes I'd be like, really? That's your favorite moment? But I don't know. I liked being silly. I like kind of just saying off the cuff things sometimes. And, if they got a reaction, that was funny. And yeah, I don't know. I couldn't pinpoint the best moments, but I do hope the best moments are still to come. So yeah. And we have the final 2 questions from Instagram. First one coming from my friend Hasiel, who says, still taking these, a super underrated movie that deserves more attention. These last 2 questions, I kept them last because they were on IG, but they're also the 2 like kind of like most thought-provoking ones that I'm just like, I had to actually think about. So, underrated movie that doesn't get a lot of attention. This one was hard to answer because I feel like you have to do this by era, right? Like the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, current movies. And it's really hard to just like pick one. My brain automatically goes to something like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind or like Garden State, which were movies I absolutely loved. They were actually both recommended to me by my sophomore writing teacher or English teacher, and they were like, if you like movies, man, you should check these out. And I checked those out and fell in love with those kind of movies. And that whole like genre of like just weird, wacky kind of movies that like had a story but like didn't take themselves too seriously. I love that. But it's also like, I feel like, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, I feel like has gotten a lot of recognition, so I don't know if it would be considered underrated. Then I go to something like Pan's Labyrinth, which at the time that movie came out, you had to go to like artsy-fartsy theaters to watch it because it was also like subtitled, if I'm not mistaken. And so those movies weren't readily available in all the big theaters. And so I thought that was an extremely underrated movie. But over the last few years, Guillermo del Toro has won Oscars, if I'm not mistaken, and his stock has like blown up and everybody loves him now. And so I don't know if Pan's Labyrinth is actually a underrated movie anymore. So the internet has made a lot of movies that I would originally say were underrated, and has like made them known and they've gotten more recognition. So it's very hard to answer that question. But my answer is going to be the movie that made me want to be a film director, because people still think, I don't see it often, but I know at the time the movie came out, a lot of people thought it was shit, and they were like, that movie sucks. And I think it holds up more today than it ever has before, and that movie is M. Night Shyamalan's The Village, okay? A lot of people did not like the twist ending. I absolutely loved it. For those of you that don't know, I'm spoiling it here. The Village was about a village, and like the people would scare anybody to not go into the woods because the woods had a monster that would kill you. So everybody lived in these small villages. They did their normal daily lives and all that jazz, and you couldn't go into the village. What ends up happening though is there is Joaquin Phoenix is in the movie. I forget, is it Bryce Dallas Howard? Is that who it was? I'm not too sure. But there's another person in the movie who plays the female lead, and then I think, is it Adrian Brody who plays another character in there? Anyways, what ends up happening is Joaquin Phoenix's character ends up getting hurt in the movie by one of the no, I think he gets stabbed. He gets hurt by, I think, Adrian Brody's character, if it is Adrian Brody. And the girl who's essentially in love with Joaquin Phoenix is like, I have to go get medicine from the next village over, which is very dangerous to do because the monsters live in the woods. And so what ends up happening is she's blind, she can't see, so she's not necessarily scared of all the visual like monster elements that have happened throughout the movie because she can't see. So she goes out into the woods to brave it to try to save the love of her life or whatever like that. And as she's going through there, she does encounter the monster. There is this one scene that I just love so much where she's wearing this white, like, Little Red Riding Hood. It's not red, it's yellow. And it's this pan of her face, and she's like, you can tell she knows something's going on, and you see the monster in the background. And she's just there, like, slowly breathing, and then it just starts slowly moving, and then she starts, it was just like, oh, when I saw that, I was just like, dude, that was so awesome. And then the monster goes, and, like, she escapes all this jazz. I think the monster might die, and she finds out the twist. I'll get into it a little bit. So, and I'll just say it now. The twist is, she ends up, whatever, I love this movie, but she ends up getting out of the village. Turns out, the village, because the village they live in, the whole movie, you think it is all about, like, they're in olden times. Like, they're, like, buggy and horses and all that kind of jazz. Well, when she's running, she ends up jumping over a wall, and turns out, cars exist. And, like, there's a patrol guy, and she's like, I need medicine or whatever, and he's like, I'll help you, or something like that. And we learn that the village is in the modern world. But the problem was that everybody in that village, they created the story of the monsters. The monsters don't exist. It was a bunch of people that wanted to keep their families safe, and they wanted to get away from the real world because they all experienced tragedy. Like, somebody was murdered or whatever. Like, it was just the real world was too crazy for them, and they wanted to go back to just where they didn't have to worry about that everybody knew who everybody was, and they could keep their families safe. And the way they kept them safe was not letting them get curious about going outside of the village. You can argue if that was, if that's morally right or wrong, whatever. They were doing what they thought was best. But I thought that was amazing, and the reason why I think it holds up today is because I think a lot of people want to isolate like that. They want to get away from today's modern world because it's so crazy, it's so chaotic, you're seeing too much crap on this damn thing, and they would rather just going back to living a simple, normal life. And I feel like some people could do that if they were to kind of like go and live like this. Now, granted, they don't need to create a monster, but I think today a lot of people want to isolate like that. They would rather, you see it on like TikTok and Instagram. They're like, have you ever thought about getting the idea of where you and your 30 closest friends buy a big plot of land and create your own community where you all, like, you see all that kind of shit? That stuff happens. That's essentially what the village did. And people are just doing it now. It's just, feels more gentrified. So yeah, that's kind of the vibe. I should say also hippie, but yeah, I don't know. The Village, I think, is still extremely underrated because I know a lot of people. M. Night Shyamalan, he hits and misses and hits and misses and hits and misses. But The Village will always be that movie that I will always sing its praises because I thought that shit was amazing. I walked out of that movie wanting to make films. And if you think it sucks, that's fine. I don't care. The great thing is, and this is why I will always tell everybody to review movies for themselves. Don't ever read a review and be like, well, I'm not going to watch that because so-and-so said it. Who gives a shit? Go watch movies for yourself because you never know what a piece of art will do for you. It can speak to you in a way that wasn't even meant to be spoken to you. It could do something. It can unlock something in your brain that creates a passion you've never known about. So go review shit for yourself. Moving on to the last comment that we have here. It's from R. Flaxy, who says, what was the greatest thing that ever happened to you? This is a hard question. Because kind of like what Charlie said, is the best yet to come, this one is like, what's the greatest thing that's ever happened to you? And that's hard to say, man. Because, I can look back at moments and be like, that was a great moment, that was cool. But I don't know what the greatest thing is. That, I've had some crazy moments where, I got to hold the NBA trophy one time because I helped build the freaking parade floats at, I got to build the parade floats for when the Spurs won the championship. I've also was working with, some guy. I don't know what he was. I don't know if he was a coach. I think he was a coach. But I remember I got, hooked up. My dad's friend hooked me up with this other guy that was running, these training camps in the summer, and he needed like somebody to like take photos or take photos. And like I was working with the Dallas Cowboys, like they're like rookies and stuff like that. So they would come to these camps, and I was getting like autographs and stuff from these up and coming like Cowboys characters. Like it was like Tashard Choice and like all these other people back in the day. Some people that didn't make it and didn't like got cut or they were around for a season or two. Like those kind of things were cool. Like I've done interesting stuff. I was in a halftime show at a Saints game when Katrina happened and the Saints came to freaking San Antonio. Like I've done some crazy stuff that like other people will never experience, and I was just kind of a kid that was just like doing this stuff. But I don't know if those are like my greatest moments, because like I could also go like degenerate brain and be like, boobs are nice, that was fun. You know what I mean? Like that's one of my greatest moments. But it's just not, it's fun. I like it. I'd love to have more of those moments, but it's not the greatest. And it's just so hard to answer, man. Like, because I don't know what's my greatest moment. I will say, getting a video that went over 100,000 views, that felt pretty awesome. And like just seeing a bunch of, well, granted, that video that got over 100,000 views was also like one of my most hated videos, and I was getting a bunch of bad comments, but it was still nice to just see like something growing that you actually did, right? Like that's a good moment. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I don't even know if I can answer that question, because I feel like I need to ponder on it even more and more. I feel like I've had great moments. Again, like that video I made when I road trip with my friends, that was a fantastic moment. But the greatest moment in my life, I don't know. I don't know if I can answer that. I don't know if I have an answer for that. I mean, can you pinpoint it? Like, I feel like anybody out there, like, do you guys have a greatest moment in your life? Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I had a lot of good ones, but I don't know what the greatest is. So yeah, I feel like it might be a cop-out answer, but I can't even think of it. So yeah. Oh wait, last minute question from Expired Juice from the Box. Butts or boobs?
¿Por qué no las dos?